Okay, everybody. So, welcome back. This is Ian from Mindful Marketplace. And as some of you know, we have a brand new course community that is coming in the summer of 2022, actually late summer. I'm recording this on the 9th of July, and this should all be ready in a few weeks. It's a whole new thing that we're doing that I'm really excited about. Multiple teachers, lots of different courses on mindfulness, mental health, and various sorts of entrepreneurial, content and cohorts that I think are really, really much better than the sort of thing that you're going to find elsewhere. And one of the things that I'm excited to introduce first is, or actually reintroduce, a course on building a newsletter using content curation. Newsletter marketing is really the quintessential strategy for launching a business, a brand, stress testing an idea, defining a market, identifying interest. All those sorts of things are really done best by dint of creating a newsletter and then using the steps that I've covered elsewhere, but we're going to cover a little bit today with respect to attracting an audience and also connecting with your professional peers, your niche neighbors. Building curated content platforms is really, to me, one of the most the lowest hanging fruit with the highest upside. There's tons and tons of examples of this in the world. Something like Product Hunt, for an example, started as a curated newsletter platform. There are tons of resource directories and marketplaces that are done entirely with curated content. And it simply means you don't need to create your own stuff. You're essentially just sharing resources that you like and appreciate. We're building a curated newsletter right now in the therapy and psychedelic intersection, where people are interested in learning more. These are professional people who are interested in learning more about the exploding interest in psychedelics as that intersects with mental health, and teaching those folks some of the most of the folks who are, or most of the doctors and therapists and people who are into mental health aren't necessarily well versed in, kind of the various sorts of modalities, therapeutic modalities that are coming out with respect to psychedelics. I happen to have some experience in that area, mostly from the experimental area, not or aspect, not so much from the therapeutic aspect. But lots of folks in our community are interested in the intersection of mindfulness and mental health and emerging technologies that are designed to help there. Anyway, I'm saying this in a very long-winded way, but we're actually doing the exact thing I'm about to show you here. So this is the course anyway. It's a short course. All of our courses now are short courses, but they're designed to be taken very, very quickly and to teach you something that you can actually implement and execute on really, really fast. But I'm going to actually give you a free download if you're interested in joining our community. I'm going to actually give it to you here rather than sending it out via a link or anything like that. And this is essentially just the introduction to the process that the complete course kind of embellishes and dimensionalizes in some extra steps. But if you're interested in launching a digital media brand using the newsletter approach, these are the steps I recommend, and they are here, right? So, number one, these are 19 steps. There's actually probably a few more than 19 steps in here. I'm going to cover these very quickly for this video, but the first step is signing up for a curated newsletter service. I recommend a review. I've covered why in other videos, but review I've been recommending for years. Review is actually recently purchased by Twitter in 2021, and they've been around for 3 or so years prior to that. Really, really just a fantastic platform for content curation, not creation, curation, where you're actually finding other resources in the world and then essentially sharing those resources with your audience. Right? You're going to install the review bookmarklet for Chrome, There are instructions for this in the integrations tab. Within Review. Review is free, by the way, as well. It's very different than Substack or all the various kind of MailChimps, Flowdesks, ConvertKits. It's not designed for long form content. It's designed for shareable content. So this review bookmarklet piece is really, really important to doing this well. Add other people's content. I have a video on this, but essentially you're just going to set keyword phrases. I recommend a minimum that are alerted via Google's keyword alerts. So you're going to get an email every morning with whatever keywords you set here. So Google is going to send you all of the references to those keywords that were made in the previous 24 hours. And you're essentially going to be curating those, adding those links to your newsletter using Review. All right, here's 3B. So I've actually tried to add some various sort of deeper dives into this process. You can use the Google News tab to surface the most current event or most recent content. And again, this is distinct and different from the information found in the primary Google search. News are more current event related things rather than historically things that are showing up on the first page of Google. You can also use Google Trends to find lateral content and kind of deeper dive within the niche and the the topic that you're curating around. And of course, you can also just use the standard Google first page results to find articles, stories, links, and content to share on your newsletter. 3E, and again, I don't make it too deep into each one of these steps here because it's covered more in the course. This is just an overview via this PDF, but share popular social media posts for your niche market, vertical, or local area. You can make a short list of influencers and then keep an eye on what they're posting. And then you can share that again to your review newsletter and then mention them when your newsletter goes live. It's really a great way of creating rapport with your professional peers, your niche neighbors, the influencers within a market, vertical, industry, locality. If you're doing this in a local market, this is great for realtors and for people who work in a specific geographical area. I mean, there's really no topic that this doesn't touch. If you're interested in doing this well, you can also use popular Pinterest URLs. You can embed those within the newsletter. You can embed videos from YouTube, etc., etc. You can also, if you're building a directory, share the blog posts, the links, the products, the program, programs, the content and courses offered by folks who are on your directory. So I know a lot of folks who are in my community are folks who've built or people who have built directories and marketplaces and niche communities, whether you're using Circle or WordPress or any kind of anything. It doesn't really matter. You can actually use your newsletter to promote your members' content, their courses, their products, their programs, their platforms, their blog posts. And it's a great way of adding extra value to a premium listing. And of course, it's a great way to sell affiliate products as a partner for your members as well. So you can be an affiliate for your members and do this in a very creative way. I can't believe how many various flavors of the number 3 step I've included here. All right, you can simply allow your imagination, your entrepreneurial imagination to run wild. Do as much of this as you can in the service of, helping other people's content get surfaced while simultaneously building an authority site for your own niche, market, brand, industry, whatever it is that your goal ultimately is through your publishing your newsletter. Adding your own content. Obviously, you can, if you have a blog, if you have a brand, if you have articles, products, courses, you can use that in your curated newsletter as well. You can repurpose the content from your website, your blog, your magazine. You can also use the integrations tab within Review to sort of capture all the Facebook, Twitter, Medium, RSS feed content. All that stuff is available within Review. It's the reason I love Review so much. Once you integrate, let's say, Twitter or Facebook now, again, they own Twitter now. And there's some extra benefits that I'll cover in the course a little bit as well, that you can actually link. You can embed your sign up form right in your Twitter profile now using Review, which is great. But all these things allow you to do, really, really quick content curation that you really can't do with a traditional, long form newsletter sort of content or context, which is a pain in the ass to write. Like, I like to write and do a lot of writing, but I can tell you I abhor the process of actually having to sit and write a newsletter update for my traditional sort of community lists, right? I mean, I much prefer to do this. It's fast, it's easy, and it's a great way of connecting with your community, your professional peers in particular, because people love when you reference their stuff via your newsletter. Right? You can share listings, from your directory if you're building one, using the link functionality, which is a great way of highlighting featured members. Again, this is ideal for community builders, for directory marketers, for authority site owners, for marketplace owners, etc. Add products to your store. Same rule applies here. You can add affiliate products, as I covered above. Make sure your link is tracking properly. You can do this via a sponsored section, like you'll often find, like really big newsletter publishers who use this approach. Let's say someone like Tim Ferriss, who essentially sends out a weekly email that's essentially like 5 things he's reading that week. It's really curated content, right? It's a little bit of his own thoughts, let's say, on a particular, idea or quote or thing he's read, and then, a link to the actual thing itself. And then people like him, I mean, there are lots of people who do this, have like a sponsored section where then you're actually adding affiliate products in a very smart, skillful way. Much bigger than someone like Tim Ferriss is something like The Skim, or one of those sorts of newsletters that's all curated, or it's curated news more than it is curated content, where they're actually taking news and adding little bits of back context about what's happening in the world, and then linking to the story, and then adding very generous sponsored sections. They do this very, very well, and have been doing it quite well for a number of years, and have built a huge business and brand around this model, right? The last piece, I'm going to say this, with all sincerity, is the most important thing is to really set a schedule and stick with it. It doesn't matter if you're choosing to publish once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a day. The most important piece is just to follow through with the commitment that you set, right? And if you don't do anything that I'm recommending above, nothing changes, nothing moves, no momentum happens, and nothing is going to transform in your brand, your business, or your life. But if you actually do all this and you set a very even low bar, right? Let's say you say, I'm going to do this once a week, and I'm going to just add 5 or 7 or 10 links once a week to my newsletter. In 4 weeks, you actually have something that has some momentum. You're excited about it. And then there's all of the attendant sort of, excitement and benefits that come with building something like this that has some historical schedule, let's say, or there's actual examples in the world that you've published 4 or 8 or 12 of these. I mean, this is so easy to do that if you actually have the time, I recommend setting a low bar, yes, but doing it more than once a week, doing it 2 or 3 times a week for the first month. So you actually have 10 or 12 or 15 issues that you can then use in 30 days to actually solicit clients, to sell affiliate products, to solicit partners, niche neighbors, to actually use as a vehicle for selling services. If you're actually trying to build a digital media brand that sells services to other people, let's say even say you're selling newsletter services to other people, you can sell this as a service and do really, really well very, very quickly, just essentially using all the steps here that I'm outlining in this 15-minute video and it's fun, right? I really enjoy this. I hate the fact that this is misaligned, but I like everything else about this process. All right, teach what you know, do what you love, wake up the world with your work. If you're interested in taking this short course and working with me directly to actually build this sort of thing for your business, for your brand, for your community, or if you're interested in selling a service like this in your own local community as a web consultant or as a niche digital brand or marketing company, get in touch. I'm happy to show you exactly how to do this very successfully, very quickly, and getting started for really a bootstrap budget. Review is free, contrary to some of the more expensive newsletter platforms that are out there, and it really makes doing this very simple and a breeze. And again, we have this whole new course community that is launching now. It's completely outside of the platforms that I've built in the past. We have some really exciting people working with us, teaching courses that very stoked to have on board. And if you're someone who wants to teach, if you have an interest in mindfulness or entrepreneurialism or self-help, mental health, or even things like psychedelics or that sort of more edgier kind of interests, reach out to me, mindfulmarketplace at gmail.com, or reach out via Twitter at Ian Hollander on Twitter, and I'm happy to tell you a little bit more about what we're up to in 2022 and beyond. Okie doke. Thank you as always so much for watching. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Thanks.